What was our opening? I had a nice little opening.
Welcome to Popular Properties Podcast.
This guy's gonna do it.
We were made. Wow. Welcome to Popular Properties Podcast,
where we
make real estate as fun as
blank. Just
blank.
fill it in.
This podcast.
Welcome to Popular Properties. We make real estate as fun as this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
It's PPP 112.
112.
Popular Properties Podcast. That's what those 3 P's stand for. Yeah. All right. Well, we got Eric Rubin here.
Ta-da.
Israel Rallone, and today our guest is Todd Whiting.
Yay.
Of Metro.
Boston Property Inspections.
Yes. So you guys are like my favorite inspection company to use.
Thank you.
All the time. I recommend you guys the most thorough reports. Tell the audience a little bit about Metro.
I'm Todd Whiting. I'm the owner. We already talked about that, but it is repeating. I started my home inspection career over 26 years ago in April of 1998 and started as a franchisee of Allstate Home Inspection and Household Environmental Testing Services Limited, Whiting Associates. And that was a lot to say. And that was going along just fine. And the franchise got sold to a company out of California. And I did some research on the people that bought it, as well as many of the other franchisees were involved in the research. And we found out that they were a very disreputable company. And I bought out of my franchise agreement and became a loose partnership with an inspector out of Sutton that went on until about from 2007 till 2013. And we decided all we were doing was adding to each other's liability. So I started Whiting Environmental Billing Inspection. And then in 2016, 2017, I had a stroke and had prostate cancer. And I decided that I should figure out a way for my wife to sell the company, and that's when Metro Boston Property Inspection was born, because nobody wants to buy Whiting Environmental Building. They don't want to be me. I don't know why. I'm a great person. And ever since then, we have been hiring and training inspectors. Typical home inspector lasts about 2 years working for somebody else, and then they want to go out on their own. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing that for many years. My current inspector I have with me, he's been with me for over 5 years now. You've met Rob. You like working with him.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's very good. And he's exactly 1 year younger than me. So, and I mean, right to the day. About beginning of 2023, I had 6 inspectors working for me. And by January of 2024, it was just me. Rob was on leave of absence dealing with family issues, and he's recently come back. Mm-hmm. But the number of home inspections being done in the market is down about 60%. Yeah. We're only doing about 40% of the home inspections.
Well,
so we're doing
deals are down by 30% year over year, right? Well, actually, no. So we're behind 5% last year, and last year was 30% behind 2022. So it's even slower than the slowest year in decades, right? Yeah. Right now.
We had our best year ever in 21.
Yeah.
And we did 830 inspections.
Wow.
Jeez.
22, we did 470. And last year we did 440.
Yeah.
This year we're on track to get back about to 470.
Well, hopefully the end of the year is a little bit better, right? Because we got CPI just came out today, and it was positive news, a point less. Well, 0.1% less than expectations, which was fantastic. I think the 10-year Treasury dropped by 0.12 already. So there's definitely going to be a small rate drop by the end of the day. And then we have the FOMC meeting. The Feds are meeting. I
can't tell you how many, but at least 12 to 15 emails I got from all these different lenders and banks telling me about rate drops.
Oh, yeah.
In the last 24 hours. And it's going to get...
We sent ours on Monday.
Yeah. So, I mean, the investors out there, you can get under 7% right now for investor 30-year fixed loans. They're out there. So
awesome.
I know I got one this morning. It was 6.75 for investor deals, 30-year fixed.
I have 3.75.
Yeah.
That's a good
You
one.
lucked out. You lucked out.
When
There's
I
a
bought
lot of
my
people who
when I
want that.
bought my house in '84, I was at 13 3/4.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
So I look at
You
7%.
guys are over here
and say,
complaining at 7%.
I'd have to say interest rates. If you're a smart person and really look at it, if you have a high income at another, say you're a doctor or a lawyer, or you're doing something else, and you have a huge income and you're paying 36% tax. If your interest rate's a point or 2 points higher than maybe you would like it, it doesn't really matter. That's all tax deductible.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're just not paying that much more in taxes. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, take it easy. And I know for years, where I was making good money in real estate, I literally needed a tax deduction. And when it was at when I first got my house, I got it at 8%, and I was happy to, to get 8% at the time. And I didn't think too much about it because I knew it was a tax write-off. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
it's 8%, but all the 8% is being taken off of money I would be given to the government anyway. It worked out really well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, people don't think about that.
But one thing I wanted to note that when rates do drop, you just got a bunch of phone calls, right?
Yeah.
From lenders calling you. All those lenders, all those agents are calling their buyers, right? And being like, hey, things are about to get picked up. And things are about to start heating up, right? So it might be a very, very good summer. But with that said, something that you noted since 2021, this is a question that I wanted to ask. Since 2021, the number of inspections have actually been dropping, right? Because so many people are waiving them, which is the most insane thing to do. Guys, never waive your home inspection. Never waive your home inspection. It's the worst idea you can do. You end up buying the house, and then chances are you can find something that will truly financially ruin you. So,
well, you always wind up with the house you deserve.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very fair point.
No, if I can interject on
that. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on
the number one person responsible for your best interests is you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't act in your best interest, you can't necessarily expect the agent to stand in your way.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, I need to get the house, I need to move, well, you may not be happy with the end result if you're not looking out for your own best interest. We do a lot of post-closing inspections.
Yeah.
And some of them, the buyers, and it's not a lot of them, it's some of them, one of the owners would start crying. We walked into one.
I was just about to ask.
Walked into one property and the basement was flooded. And it was flooded on top of asbestos tiles.
Oh, my God.
And because it was a wet basement, there was mold in the basement. Now, when we did the home inspection, the fact of the water on the floor may not have been there.
Yeah.
But there would have been evidence of water on them.
Yeah.
So,
that it's currently happening, right? Like, that's not the first time that basement's flooded.
Well, I've shown many properties over the years where you go down the basement and there's different evidence you can find of potential flooding, right? Sometimes you'll find the obvious where you see some mold or maybe see some wetness at the bottom. But sometimes you'll see a very clean basement, but you may see like a sheetrock line about 6 inches or 8 inches above running all around the room. And you say to yourself, why is there a line running around the room? That's because previously they got flooded. They cut out the sheetrock, installed new sheetrock, and it's difficult to make a smooth transition no matter how much mud you put. You will probably see, if it's flat walls, I mean, if it's the ceiling, you can get away with the ceiling textures, but if it's a flat wall, a lot of times you'll see that seam running kind of along
actually
the
a special name for that in the restorations. It's called an insurance cut.
Insurance cut.
And it's typically 2 feet up.
There you go, yeah.
And it is evidence that there was water damage, mold damage. And some of the mold damage doesn't happen from flooding. It happens because the sheetrock is installed in contact with the concrete floor. And the concrete floor is always damp.
Yeah.
So moisture wicks up into the paper, and it's enough moisture that mold can start growing on the paper. And they haven't cut it out. You can see a gray, shadowy
on the bottom.
On the bottom.
Yep.
And that's typically mold. Oh, it's not, I'm going to kill you, mold.
Yeah.
Right. But those are simple signs that the average person may not know about.
Yeah.
Like you say, insurance cut. Like you see an insurance cut, that should put a huge alarm. Okay, where's the sub pump? When was it installed? How active is the water leak? And stuff of that nature. Get into it.
See, what I like about them is you guys at Metro, you're so thorough with your inspections that, like, whenever I do an inspection with you guys, I'm constantly like just taking notes, basically, right? Because it helps me out as an agent when I'm showing a buyer someplace, and I can actually quote some of the things that you guys have taught me, right? So for all of you agents out there, if you have the chance to like go sit in on an inspection, guaranteed it'll help your business out. You'll learn so much. You'll be able to like guide your actual buyers to be like, hey, this might be something that you want to watch out for. Obviously, don't quote me. Let's see what the inspector says, but I'm just telling you right now.
Just so you guys know, we do offer in-office seminars, not about Whiting and Metro Boston being the best inspection company out there. We are, but we're not going to go into your office and say that.
Let's go. I like that.
I have a whole seminar. It's called The Anatomy of a Home. And we talk to you about what's going on. I have seminars about mold and the problems associated with all of that. But the ramifications of not having a home inspection. And the worst house, I know you were going to ask me this question later, but the worst thing I ever found, they didn't have a home inspection. This is down in Rhode Island. It was a house with synthetic stucco, and they were doing a huge remodel on the inside. And when they opened up the wall, they found mold. So I got called in to do mold testing, and the entire perimeter of the house, the sheathing was drywall, built in the 1980s. It had drywall, and the synthetic stucco was put over that. And all of the exterior walls, what people refer to as toxic black mold. So they weren't just doing a gut remodel of a house they paid $800,000. They were doing an exterior remodel as well. They had to remove all of the exterior sheathing.
Oh my God!
To get down to that sheetrock, take that sheetrock off, and
put on plywood or other suitable substrate.
At that point,
can't believe they use sheetrock for that.
The worst.
That's horrible.
So basically,
it's like building a house with sheetrock and not. You know what I mean? Not plywood.
You'd be surprised how many houses back in that period were.
That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, what period is this? So you
1980s.
The 80s.
So a house built in the 80s
with synthetic stucco.
Watch.
When rates were like 12%.
Yeah, there's a lot of stucco homes in Massachusetts. I've been noticing more and more of them.
It's weird. You see them more south, dude. Yeah, you see them more south.
Yeah, because they're not. It's not a good material.
Like in Arizona, yeah.
It's not a good material. Period.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not my favorite.
I'd like to talk about one subject that I get a lot.
Yeah.
Does a home need a radon test if it's like 20 or 30 years old?
Why not?
Depends on your basement, right?
Well, I've had people say to me, they say, well, the house has, been out there for years. It's had multiple owners, and I'm sure it's been tested. And, we're here in Boston, for instance. Do I need to spend that $60? And I'm always like, well,
Man,
you can't smell it. You can't see it. Don't you want to know if it's there? You know what I mean? So I say, go ahead. If it's $75 or $100. I don't know how much it is.
If you own your home and you're not buying the home, do a long-term test. There's not time for a long-term test in a real estate transaction.
Yeah.
Long-term test is a minimum of 91 days.
91 days.
And up to a year.
Oh.
You would leave a canister or something in your basement?
It's called an alpha track. And you leave it in the lowest, if you own the home, it's the lowest occupied level. If it's a real estate transaction, it's the lowest level suitable for occupancy without significant renovation. So you get the test, you put it in, and with the long-term test, you don't have to keep the windows and doors closed. You can go in and out and live in your home just the way you always live in your home. And then it comes back and it gives you the most accurate representation of the radon levels in your home.
Okay.
But in a real estate transaction, you don't have that time frame.
You don't have 90 days.
You don't have 90 days. So you have to do a short-term test.
Was it a 3-day test typically? Is that what that is?
Well, the liquid scintillation test, which is the most popular, is a 2 to 4 day test. You can't go more than 96 hours with it. There are all kinds of continuous monitors that are available. And that's a single device that's testing the air. And I chose to go a different route. I use ePerm canisters, and they provide the quality control of the liquid scintillation devices because we always have two. and they provide the speed of the continuous monitor because we can get the results the same day. We just did a job with you and they can also be in place for up to 7 days. So the inspection was done on Thursday.
When did you make a plan?
Yep. And I picked up the radon test yesterday. And sitting out in front of the property, I was able to do the reading, make the report, and send it to Israel.
Wow.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
How did it come out?
Right on right at the action level.
Right at where it's like, hey, this is
4.0
so
requires
that,
mitigation.
So right at that level, would you tell somebody who was buying that to maybe put in a mitigation system because it's right at that level? Because it does show something?
We always, when it comes to radon or other environmental concerns, I parrot the expert. So for radon, EPA says at 4.0, mitigation is recommended. If I tested a house with a short-term test first and it came back at 4.0, I would say do a long-term test.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
and
the
then
way up
see
to
how it goes.
all the way up to 9.0 picocuries. I would recommend a long-term test before mitigation.
That makes sense. That's a smart move, because
But
mitigation is going to cost money.
In a transaction, we just say what the EPA says.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is radon typically found, it's like now this might be completely incorrect, but in hilly areas, right?
Radon is most prevalent in areas that are high in granite.
Okay.
And elevated radon in
Quincy.
Quincy, oh my God.
Massachusetts.
It's all granite there.
The
Radon capital of the
EPA
world.
has divided the country up into a
Like
radon
zones?
map into zones. Zone 5 is the areas of least likelihood, and zone 1 is the areas of most likelihood. Can you guess which zone Massachusetts is in?
Most likelihood.
We're in zone 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know over where I live in Framingham, where the homes, there's a lot of sledge, a lot of rock. And, I tested my house. I sold 2 houses on the street. We tested them. Thank God everything came out good. But we were always worried about that because of the rock.
For those of you that are listening and don't know what radon is,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's talk about it.
radon is an odorless, colorless, radioactive gas that comes from the breakdown of uranium. And it's found in the ground areas most likely have a lot of granite. So you don't have to worry about radon in the Back Bay because that's all filled land.
Yeah.
But
that's
what
true.
did they fill it with?
Right.
Chunks of granite.
From Watertown.
Yeah.
And Brighton.
And we're not talking about boulders of uranium.
Yeah.
The uranium in the ground could be the size of a thumbnail and causing elevated radiation.
Wow.
And it comes up through the ground, through fissures, cracks in the rock, gaps in the dirt, and finds its way into your house, through your foundation wall, through cracks in your floor. And that's mostly where it comes from.
And that's because the home was built a certain amount of feet into the soil.
Nope.
No? It could be on top of the soil.
So your foundation wall goes down in.
Yeah.
And the gases come up and they get into the foundation wall. And then wherever the floor is, and it doesn't matter if it's a slab.
Doesn't matter if it's a slab or in the ground.
Because
it comes up.
It just means that the radon's getting into the first floor instead of into the basement.
Okay. That's great. So now you found a house and say it has elevated radon. You still want to buy it. What do you do then?
You put in
The long-term test.
No. You put in a subslab depressurization known as a radon mitigation system. They typically run between $1,500 and $3,000.
Depending how big the house is?
Depending on, say a house is built in 1900 and it has an addition on it. And so you have a lot of different foundations, a lot of different spaces. That house will most likely require multiple suction points through the floor. Which means places where they're just going to pull the gas up and bring it to the outside. That's going to cost a lot more than a 1950s ranch. No additions, nothing, just 1950s
Straight
ranch, just one suction point straight to the outside and up.
So what's going to happen is they basically, these companies come in, they put a form of like ventilation system that basically sucks the air out of the house and then exhausts it out through the chimney, basically.
And I used one of the terms, which is a subslab depressurization. There's another fancy name called an active soil depressurization. And all it is PVC pipe and a fan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they
That's all it is.
Yeah, so they're basically sucking the air out. Are they bringing fresh air in?
No.
No. So, and just from the house itself, we'll bring in air, obviously. And
one tool that's sometimes used in radon mitigation is a heat recovery ventilator. And that uses dilution of the air rather than removal.
okay.
And all it does is it dilutes the inside air with outside air
Okay.
and warms it up before it puts it in the house.
That seems like the nice one.
Yeah.
It's not that effective.
Oh no,
It's used for low levels and in conjunction with
But I can tell
systems.
you, as a broker who takes customers out literally every day, I've had a few customers that we've been out there in the suburbs. One particular customer I remember was out in like the Holliston area, and it seemed like every house we went to had a mitigation. Just constant mitigation. Probably because maybe that area has a lot. And he was just so against it. He had a new baby. He's like, I don't want any of that. I go, well, they have the mitigation system, then it's maybe better than another house that has lower readings because now we know it's clean in the house
how
with the
often do
mitigation.
you have to like maintain the mitigation? You got to get it serviced every year or
The
something?
typical warranty on the fan is about 5 years.
Oh,
It's
okay.
literally just a basic like bathroom fan that's sucking in the air out of the house. So
Same
how long does
concept.
a fan last?
A little
you know?
bigger, but same concept.
Yeah. But how long does a fan last? 5 years. Maybe
Yeah.
6
It's an
years.
electric motor.
Okay, so yeah,
And it's running
shouldn't be
24/7.
something Too crazy.
Running all the time. It's probably not that expensive as far as electricity use because
Still,
there's some cost.
the number used to be like $70 a year.
$70
energy
to run
costs.
that. Okay.
It could be a little more than that with current energy costs.
Yeah, but that's definitely not bad.
Yeah.
For
It's not
safety.
bad. Yeah.
So
I mean,
what is the bad part of radon? Like what happened?
Well, EPA has determined that radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Second to
Cigarettes?
cigarette smoke.
Nice.
So there you go.
And
So it's a very serious thing.
Yeah.
And, that's why we obviously are recommending a home inspection. And if you do that home inspection, why not pay for the radon test?
And unfortunately, the $60 that you mentioned
Yeah.
no longer exists.
No longer. What does it cost for a radon test
Well,
in today's world?
We are currently at 160.
160.
Missy does all the prices.
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We
for
are
about
going up,
$160,
but it's between
you
say
can sleep
100
at night when you
between
buy your house.
150 and $200. Things that we recommend as far as ancillary services in a home inspection would be the radon test,
Yeah.
wood destroying insect report, and a mold screening, which is what we
Mold
just
screening.
did on your property. Typically, that runs slightly over $1,000. If it's a multifamily home, it's going to be about $1,500.
Because you're doing multiple units.
But you're going to get workable data.
Right.
You're going to get your home inspection that provides you with all the information about the conditions of the home. And that includes the things that are good,
Yeah, absolutely.
the positive attributes of the home. But you're also going to get information about radon. You're going to get information in a home inspection. The home inspector is not allowed to talk about species or types of wood destroying insects. They can say that there's damage and it may be from wood destroying insects, but because even though many of us have decades of experience, many home inspectors are not registered pest inspectors.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're limited in what we can do. But when we put on our pest inspector hat, then we can say it is eastern subterranean termites. It is powder post beetles or carpenter bees. Last house I inspected that had a wood destroying insect had all four,
Wow.
all different types.
So when I first started off, we had a very crappy agent who ill-advised a lot of us. But he told me that the basic inspection the inspector will be able to tell whether or not wood destroying insects are there. So,
Yes and no.
And then they'll recommend it. But in the wood destroying insect, in that test, when you ask for that service, does it get a little bit more detailed?
Basically, we use the form put out by the National Pest Management Association,
Okay.
NPMA 33. And that allows us to say, or requires us to say, what type of insect? Where is it located? Is there damage from this, or is it just evidence of activity? We have to talk about.
Making
That's
around.
Oreo.
Yeah.
I had a cat that looked like you, but his name was Mr. Mistopheles. Cats.
Yeah,
Now, the inspection,
nephew named him.
how soon will the customers receive the inspection after you do the
Well,
reports?
within 24 hours.
24 hours,
It's
that's amazing.
like this, dude.
Because that's what you need.
Yeah, but I'm going to be
You need
honest.
that
There are
data.
other inspectors that will provide it at the end of the inspection because that's what we used to do.
Yeah.
We used to have these wonderful checklist reports in a 3-ring binder, and we just check things off. We'd take out our copy and hand the other copy to the buyer and walk away proud and be
It's
done.
a little rushy, right?
I prefer the new reports, the new computer-generated reports. I spent 7 years as a real estate appraiser, so I learned how to write a technical report with narrative rather than just checking boxes.
Right.
And I don't feel you can do that effectively on site. All of us have boilerplate comments, but many of those boilerplate comments need to be edited for the specific situation.
Yeah.
And you can't do that on site. I don't feel anybody wants to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs. That's an old person's statement, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
And
You do that.
I was just doing it a
He
minute
does this
ago.
all the time.
Keeps my ADD in check. What can I say?
We're over here showing our age. I got the no-show socks
Yeah,
on. You're
yeah.
over here twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah, absolutely.
so I feel it needs to be edited. We need to make sure that the pictures that are in the report
Yeah.
properly represent what it is we're talking about. So we go home, we go to our office, and we edit. Now, if I'm doing 2 inspections in a day, I'm going to go from inspection 1 to the location of inspection 2, and then I'm going to sit in my truck and I'll write the report for inspection 1. Because I try to schedule time in between to have that time.
Yeah.
That way your mind is
But-
also fresh.
And
You
then
don't wanna
Rob
confuse
will
them.
stay up late to write his reports. I get up early. I go to bed like 9 o'clock because I'm an old man. And then I get up at
4 in the morning.
4 o'clock and write reports.
Yeah.
But
You're right on the money.
I'm right there. I'm an old man too, so I get up early.
Yeah. Well, I'm not there.
The only
at
difference is
4
I go to
a.m.
bed
You will
early
be.
too.
We all
I
get
go to
there.
bed early and I
Yeah.
wake up early, but
so that's I feel it produces a better report.
Yeah.
It does
It does.
put a little bit of delay, but are you going to be able to take action on an inspection report that you received at 5 o'clock at night before the next morning?
I love that you said 5 o'clock.
yeah, because by the time you do a 3:30 inspection, you're done at 5. You know,
In the winter time, 5 o'clock is night.
it is 4 o'clock's nighttime.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy over here in Boston.
It's PM.
Yeah.
There's morning, which is AM,
Yeah.
and there's night that's PM.
All right, Israel. Let's talk now about crazy home inspections that you've dealt with. You've been a real estate agent for many years. I've been a real estate agent for many years. Let's talk about the craziest thing that's happened at a home inspection.
Well, I don't think I've had any like real crazy things besides like falling through a hole on
Falling
the
through a
floor
hole.
one time. But I did have one thing that happens sometimes often, and Todd, you were the inspector for this, where we had somebody come in and they brought, knows who they brought. It was some random person that they know who just kept on trying to advise Todd on what things were, and we're like, can you just shut your mouth kindly?
I did
You
actually,
said it way more professionally than that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to tell him to shut the fuck up.
I have a line I use. Mostly I use it with fathers. But what I tell them is that the client brought you here because he respects your opinion. But right now, he's paying me a good sum of money for my opinion. And it's important that he listens to what I have to say. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. But just bear in mind that we have to support, usually it's your child, but your friend, whatever.
Yeah.
That he's paying me for my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
And he can
Talk
get
to him
your
about the
opinion
other
anytime.
stuff later on his time.
Yeah. When you review the report.
Yeah.
Review the report and then you can give your opinion
no,
about
it
it.
makes
Once
sense.
the report's there.
But we've all had those, like you say, fathers. Typically from New Jersey, but could be from other states. But and they just want to rip the house apart. I had one father was buying into in Kenmore Square a large, I think it was 80-unit condominium development. It was a number of blocks of buildings on Com Ave, and the management company just couldn't get us on the roof and into the common area boiler room. For whatever reason, the people weren't available that day. We tried to get it in advance. And so we did the home inspection. It was a condominium on the unit. Came out perfect. But because the home inspector couldn't get into the common areas, the father just refused to buy the property. In fact, she pulled out of the transaction. And, it was like wintertime. The heat was on in the place. It's 80-unit building.
You know what?
It's part of the condo association. It's not like he's going to be buying a new boiler. If anything, it would be one.
Was heat and hot water included?
Yeah, all of that was included in the condo fees and stuff. It's like typically, and I've done home inspections where, if we can't get into those common area space, it's not a big deal because it's a large development. He's only paying a small portion of that if there's a repair.
Just so you'll know, in a situation like that, more than 4 units is not governed by the standards of practice.
Right.
There was a company in Massachusetts who's out of business, was not a licensed home inspector, and all he inspected was apartment condominiums and mobile homes, because those are both outside the standard of practice, and you don't need to be licensed. But then you also can't get insurance.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of what put him out of business. But in an 80-unit apartment building, then the client isn't paying for a property condition assessment. So inspecting the roof would be outside the scope of that
Absolutely.
inspection. Inspecting a common boiler
See, Dad?
is outside the scope
It's
of that.
fully outside the scope.
Now, I will tell you that most home inspectors, most good home inspectors, will ask, is there access to the roof?
Yeah.
And they'll go up and they'll putter around up there and take a look at it and then come down and they'll talk about the material. And then they'll go to the common space.
Right.
Because otherwise, a 1,400 square foot apartment is going to have, say it's a 2-bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom. It might have 25 outlets in it. It might have 6 windows.
Right.
So we need to do something to earn our money. So we go and do it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like definitely outside the scope.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't imagine like a huge development like that. It's a 6-story building, it's elevators and stuff like that. You're not paying for the inspector to inspect the elevator, inspect the
Was this
sprinkler
after
room.
2021?
This was before. This was a number of years
before
ago.
that building collapsed.
Yeah, this was
Florida.
years ago.
Because that was
this is around
crazy
2000.
thing.
It still wasn't something a home inspector could have.
No.
Yeah, couldn't
No.
prevent it.
No.
But
engineer or somebody doing a property condition assessment.
But what
now,
a person
a
will
lot
do,
of those buildings actually required. So, like, we had a deal at 6 Whittier Place, right, in downtown Boston.
Yeah.
They had a special, like, after that building collapsed, all those older buildings decided to get, engineers.
Right, but that's going to show up in the minutes of the meeting and the
Right.
condominium, and most buyers will ask for the most recent
Yeah,
minutes.
that's
and,
what they should have asked for.
Yeah,
You're a
and then
good
you're going to
person.
see what's going on with the development.
In
and
our
condo
report,
association.
when we can't access the roof for whatever reason, we have a comment that says the roof is controlled by building management, and the inspector was not. Building management does not allow inspectors on the roof. We recommend that you consult with the homeowners association or building management to find out any anticipated repairs or replacement.
Yeah.
Because that's really the only information they need.
Yeah.
It's the seller is not going to be responsible for replacing the roof.
And a lot of times
or
these
replacing the
larger
boiler.
buildings, they've budgeted for that. For instance, if I sell a unit on Gainsborough Street in Boston, they'll have like $1 million sometimes in escrow reserve because it's been going on for the last 60 years. They've been collecting reserves, and everyone's paying an extra $30 a month into this reserve account. And when you have 350 units, they end up with millions of dollars in this account.
Yeah.
And we've even had people try to negotiate that. Like if they're like, 1 of 80 and there's $1 million in there, well, percentage, 1 of 80 of $1 million, they want that back. If it's $70,000 or whatever, their percentage of the reserve.
Yeah.
And it happens. And it's part of negotiations sometimes.
Yeah, I did. The building in Calm Ave was a perfect example of that. Like, it was, I think, 46 units in the building, tons of reserves. I mean,
Tons.
Their reserves were insane. They had all the entire facade, and they still had plenty of reserves.
Yeah.
Which was crazy because that's a huge project. The project was estimated cost of that project was $2 million.
And they didn't even care, and it didn't matter to them. No.
It didn't matter at all.
Just tell the person that wants their reserve fund money back that they're getting paid for their reserve fund money with the cost of the condo.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where they're getting their money back.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very rare that actually gets transacted, but every now and again, it's always the seller, of course. Is asking for more money. That thing. And, and the reverse of that, sometimes we sell units that have something upcoming. Hey, condo fees are going up $300 for the next 2 years because they are doing the facade. They don't have enough money. They need to raise more money to do that work. And sometimes that's an eyesore on a listing. You know what I mean? Instead of having a $300 condo fee, now it's $750 for the next 2 years.
Yeah, those special assessments get crazy.
I just inspected a condo in Brookline.
Yeah.
Yesterday. No, the day before. And the seller had an off-site parking space that he pays for. And he was going to pay 2 years in advance for the buyer.
Sometimes that's a great move.
Well, it makes it more desirable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially in Brookline.
Yeah.
There's no off-street parking.
No, somebody may buy that.
Overnight.
They live there for 2 years and then rent it.
The one street that didn't have permit parking only.
Yeah.
Which I disregard anyway.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to chat about real quick was the liability for inspect, right? I think a lot of buyers will go and expect the inspector to be able to do everything, right? Which also, by the way, now that I think about it, finished basements suck for home inspections, right? Because you can't really see the foundation and whatnot and see how good things are. So what's the liability for when an inspector misses like some major things?
Well, let's start at the beginning, and we'll go all the way to our rules governing home inspection. In Massachusetts, to be a licensed home inspector, you have to have an insurance policy of at least $250,000. I have $1 million plus a $1 million umbrella that covers me and my employee. Then we have to go look at what does the inspection agreement say? What does the inspection agreement exclude? Did the client have enough time to read the inspection agreement? So it has to go out to them in a timely fashion. And then what was explained to them at the inspection, etc. And there's a difference between missing something and something not being accessible. And we're required to document things that are not accessible and why. So if we're in the basement and I can't see the actual floor joists, or even just all of them, then I have to say that they were not accessible. Why were they not accessible? There's a finished ceiling. And there's a finished wall. I can't see the foundation, but I can see some of the foundation outside. So we need to use our best judgment. Inspection is not just a visual inspection. It's a sensory inspection of the readily accessible components of the property. So we have to use all of our senses. What does it smell? What does it feel like? We don't taste anything. Although I could show you a video of a mold remediator in Michigan from about 15 years ago licking a moldy wall.
That's
oh my God.
Wild. Why?
Just go to YouTube and search "man licks moldy wall."
Oh my God. I'm definitely going there tonight.
From this video to do that.
In fact, we'll have a link below. No, just kidding. I'm not kidding. But that is hysterical.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
It's totally gross.
Yeah.
He's standing there talking with his work shirt unbuttoned and his belly and t-shirt hanging out.
I want to know if anyone's followed that man to see actually like how much cancer he got. But, see if that actually happened. So
we can be held responsible. And people will sue home inspectors for anything.
Yeah.
Back when I had my stroke, I had a case where the person bought a townhouse on a hazardous waste site. Hazardous waste sites are well outside the scope of the home inspector.
Absolutely.
But because home inspectors have insurance,
she went after you guys.
She went after us as well as everybody else in sight. The people that really should have known about it would have been the listing agent, the
disclosure
appraiser,
disclosure.
Who's required to review the master deed. He was not mentioned. People blame the home inspector right away.
Yeah.
They don't take time, but it falls on the home inspector because they don't take time to talk. You know that
that's an environmental inspection. That's a 21E environmental type thing.
That one was.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you're not an environmental inspector.
No, we're inspecting
You're looking at the dwelling.
We're looking at, this is a center unit, so we're looking at the front wall, the back wall, the
dwelling,
portion of the roof, and then inside.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
This particular person was so concerned about her property that she left halfway through to get a nail.
Yeah. Of course.
All right. Yeah, so
that brings up to mind though one nightmare home inspector I once had years ago. I think he's out of the business at this point, but he showed up to the home inspection with I want to say about a 3-foot screwdriver, one of those long
I know
screwdrivers
exactly
like this.
the home inspector you're talking about.
Okay.
Is his name Bill?
And
No.
this was up in Mission Hill in Boston, and one of my agents was actually buying this 3-family house. And we're walking around the outside of the house without any permission from anyone. He starts taking his screwdriver and jamming it into the siding of the property to check for rot. And guess what? There was some rot. And he was putting holes in the building, the property, like this, large holes in it. And he put about 4 holes. I said, can you please stop putting holes in the property? I understand you trying to make a point, but this guy doesn't even own the house yet. And the seller's going to be really pissed when he comes home and sees 4 large holes in his property, regardless of, the situation. So can you please stop doing that?
To justify him, the standards tell us we're required to probe wood where damage or deterioration is suspected. However, we're not allowed to probe when it may mar finished surfaces.
I mean, it wasn't like a regular screwdriver. We're talking like
shaking the
like
a sword.
A sword. He's like, rah, rah.
There are
These
some
holes
guys
are going
that use
into the house.
Dandelion pullers.
Yeah, I mean,
on the long handle.
So I was having a heart attack. The buyer ended up where there was rot there and it had to be replaced. The siding. He ended up getting a credit for it. The report could have been made without so many holes in the house, and the guy still would have bought the house. My friend, the agent, ended up buying the property.
Yeah.
How do you define probe?
I guess if you make a hole big enough that
like an alien,
like a mouse could crawl through.
Yeah, it's
probing
too much.
Is taking your device and wood destroying. Registered pest inspectors use a flathead screwdriver, and you push on the wood. You probe the wood. Yeah. You don't dig into the wood. You don't break the wood.
It could have been done. I mean, the point is you wanted to say these areas had rot. You didn't need to go that deep into the property.
Yeah.
All you got to do is find the deterioration.
Yeah. And but that was probably the biggest nightmare that I had during the home inspection. I mean, I've had other ones where I'm selling a house and it's rented to people. We've told the people we're doing a home inspection, and they're literally like fooling around in the bedroom while we're trying to do the home inspection. That was a little uncomfortable.
Did you take a video?
No, I didn't. That was a little uncomfortable. But, normally they go pretty well. Oh. And most recently, because we're using Metro, so everything's good.
Yeah, they've been very, very nice. I mean, we should definitely talk about, before we wrap up, we should talk about what you can do with a home inspection, how to like apply credits and whatnot. And
what do you do after the home inspection?
But what I want to talk about real quick is what should the buyer be doing, or whoever is paying you when they're doing the home inspection? What should they be doing? Because I mean,
during the home inspection,
some people fucking apparently leave for nails.
You
got people on their phone taking phone calls. If you're having a home inspection, I think personally, I think you should really be paying attention. But
there are some home inspectors, and not every home inspector in my company does things the exact same way. Mm-hmm. The 2 ways that really work are the client tags along and asks questions when you're in the area. That's really, to me, that's what I do.
So in the basement, they're asking questions about the boiler in the basement. Mm-hmm. When you're on the roof, they're talking about the roof and so forth and so on.
Then there's another way, and it's equally, and I've had inspectors, very good inspectors work for me and follow this process, is they break the inspection up into segments. And we all do the outside first before anyone else gets there. And then we go over the findings of the outside when they get there. Then when they go inside, they'll break it up into what's going on in the basement, what's going on in the attic, and what's going on in the first.
So they do the inspection
space.
quickly, and then they do a recap with the customer
about each of those segments. Yeah. And that's just, and what's good about that is it allows the buyer or the client to, if they have friends there, show them the house, maybe go and measure some of the rooms. But I like to have them right there with me so that I even take pictures of them looking at something I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, that's good because it keeps it fresh. Mm-hmm. Then later when they're reading the report, they can remember the conversations that you had at the boiler or at the kitchen or in the bathroom about certain issues.
What they need to understand is that the home inspection is so important for them. And they're paying somebody a pretty good sum of money to generate information for them. And so they need to participate so that they can understand and have context when they're reading the report. If they decide it's a time to show their parents and their cousins and have a party at the house while the inspector's doing their job, they're not going to get the information they need. Mm-hmm. Another thing that and everybody processes information differently. And a lot of people want to write notes. I recommend don't write notes. Take pictures of what I'm telling you. Because if you're writing notes, you're not really processing the information I'm giving you, and you're going to get a written report with pictures that show you exactly what we're talking about anyway.
I've had buyers that said to me, hey, do I need to go to the home inspection? Can you just take care of it for me? Send me the report. Is the report going to be any different than the home inspection? No, it's not. But, it's important for you to be there, and for you to, because at the end of the day, the real estate broker's not going to be with you when you're trying to, like, restart the boiler. You don't know where the shutoff switch is and things like that. You learn at the home inspection. Yeah.
Down south, Georgia, Florida, the home inspectors get into the house before anyone else, and they do probably 90% of the inspection before anyone gets there. Mm-hmm. And then they do the recap. They do a video recap slideshow.
Wow.
And walk the people through it that way. And that works out really, really well. I actually like slideshows sometimes better than having them with me because you can zoom in on things.
Yeah.
And instead of having the person nodding their head, yes, I understand.
It also gives you that effort to go look up something that you want to add to the report, or check in on something. Hey, what kind of bug is that? Let me go look at the bug book, and you know what I mean, stuff of that nature.
The state defines in our standards, a home inspection is intended to produce a report that forthrightly discusses the conditions of the home. Mm-hmm. That's the purpose of it, to produce that report. It's not an engineering survey. It's not an architectural survey. It's not all encompassing because we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
We could spend 8 hours in a house and not find everything.
Yeah.
Now, do your reports have any numbers in it, in the sense, like, let's just say you see a roof and the roof is obviously very old. It's got some issues in it, and you would recommend a new roof. Would you put an estimate cost for that roof?
Very good question. I forgot that we wanted to ask that.
I'm trying to bring it all around, kid.
Well, the answer to that should be no. Mm-hmm. Because home inspectors are prohibited talking about cost of repair. We're prohibited from telling somebody specifically how to fix it.
Yeah.
A home inspection is like a physical, and we're like the primary care physician for the home.
Okay, so you got the non-working order, right? It's not working, right? And then it's
repair.
Then it's working, but it needs to be replaced. Probably
for us, we have acceptable, functioning consistently with its original purpose.
Yeah.
Maintenance required, which means it needs limited repairs and maintenance now.
So it's like working, but it's could go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there's
that noisy bathroom fan.
Repair, replace, upgrade.
Yeah, repair, replace,
which
upgrade.
Means it needs significant repair.
Either not working or about to die any second.
Or it needs an upgrade to the current standards.
Yeah.
But we can't add in that you need to do this and it's going to cost this much.
Right. You just give me an assessment.
Much like the doctor, we need to refer the person to a specialist.
And that's the best part about it, is that you guys refer them to where they need to go. So it's like you want to see an engineer, you want to see a carpenter, you want to see
a mason, or this or that.
It's very
our recommendation in our report consistently reads that we recommend the client consult with a qualified plumber, electrician, HVAC tech, etc.,
whatever is needed,
to determine the full extent and cost of repair. Mm-hmm. Because if we start doing the role licensed professional, then the person's not going to consult the licensed professional, and they're not going to get accurate information. Right. So they really need to. And do you really want your primary care physician dealing with your prostate cancer?
Right.
I don't.
No.
Right.
Although my doctor, after he did my prostate surgery, murdered his wife.
Oh my God. That's a whole other story.
You're joking, right? Did that really happen? Wow.
Yes.
Holy
shit.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Was it from seeing your prostate?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
She had epiphany.
Though.
Yeah. Well, she must have burnt the pasta. I remember when we were looking for houses, me and my wife, many moons ago, there was a house that was for sale in Framingham, and the husband murdered his wife because she burnt the pasta.
Get the fuck.
And it was in the listing sheet and everything, and it was a beautiful house, but we just couldn't
that
find
exact
ourselves.
detail was in there?
Yes, because it had to be disclosed.
The murder needed to be disclosed, not
we
the
didn't
reasoning.
say about the pasta.
Oh,
but we
okay.
knew because we were looking in the town. It was all over the papers. It was in the news.
Yeah.
And everything. We knew about it, but
That'd be insane to put in.
It's got to be disclosed.
A murder was due to burnt pasta.
Yeah. Not the house. The house is good.
House is solid. They were very happy, but
so that's a running joke with me and my wife. You know, I'm like, honey, please don't burn the pasta. You know, but that's great. That's really good. All right, so now you got the home inspection report, like you said. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's.
And what do we do with this report?
So the report, what you can do with that, right, is take it, sit down with your agent, and discuss what you want repair or credited. What is like within the means of the seller to fix, right? So when I do my reports, I sit down and we go line by line, which is why I love your report so much.
Do you use the repair request builder?
No. Do you have that? Because I did not know that.
Well, when you look at, I know I've been over this with you before. When you go to the report, there's a really nice picture of the front of the property.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom of the picture, there are 3 buttons where you can see the full report, you can see a summary, or just see the safety hazards. Mm-hmm. That's great. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a little black box that says Report Tools. And in Report Tools, you can click on that, and there's Repair Request Builder. And that is a summary of all of the things that need to be repaired.
All the things that are effed up in the house.
Just so you know, Eric, just so you know how I've been doing it? I've been screenshotting the little sections and copying them into our form.
I got that. I got that.
Then you can just click on anything that you want to negotiate.
Yeah.
Right.
And
make a separate
You can make a comment on it. You can add a dollar value to it if you have an estimate.
That's a beautiful thing for the agent. So that's a nice tool.
That's amazing.
For us to use
that at our next
it's
one.
going to
be functional with that home inspection
that.
report. It gives us more functionality with it because we can easily put together a punch list. We can put numbers on it.
Really good
you can get it out to a perhaps popular home improvement to look at the repair list. Shameless plug. I'm the owner of Popular Home Improvement. So have to say that, but yeah, you can get that list out to your repair specialist, as it will, and get pricing to go back to the seller and say, hey, seller, we love the house, but these are the problems. It's going to cost X number of dollars.
Yeah.
Will you pay for it? No. Will you split it? Okay. You know, let's negotiate.
Just get it fixed, right? So that's what you do.
A lot of times you just get it fixed.
You tell them, hey, listen, either credit me this or repair this or meet me halfway. Do whatever you want, but it's a great way. You know, you can use that the home inspection to your. It's not just for your information, right? You use it as a negotiation.
Absolutely.
Realistically, because most of the time, a seller won't even know. Hardly anyone does a fucking pre-sale inspection, which I recommend anybody who's looking to sell their house.
Smart seller will do that. A smart seller and do an appraisal too. Some of them will even do an appraisal and have those in advance and have those available to show prospective buyers.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a certified offer-ready inspection?
I don't know, but
is that what we're talking about?
Sounds like you're talking about my program that we have.
It sounds like I just found out about a new program.
We just found out about a new program.
So things that we need you to stop by the office.
Well, tell us about this program,
all
please.
It is, we'd go and we do the same inspection we would do for a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we provide it to the seller.
Yeah.
And then the seller has the couple options. They can do nothing. And because they're the seller, they don't have to disclose anything. They don't have to show it to the listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
They only have to disclose if it has lead paint or if it's on a septic system. Or they can disclose it and say that the price of the house is based on these conditions.
Right.
And not have to do any work and sell it as is.
I have seen property where they've had that report on the kitchen table in a binder, and they openly tell everybody. And, you know, and I've been to properties where they've done a lot of the work and said, well, here's a list of all the things that they said.
Came up on the report. And
we did all these things already. It's all done, or we're in a process of doing that, including the septic or whatever. And it's part of the sale. So the new buyer comes in.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
amazing.
And it's already done for them, and it's ready to go.
Many buyers, not all buyers, some buyers will still want to have their own inspection.
Yep.
But what you need to do is have them sign a waiver that when they have their inspection, you'll only negotiate those things that were previously undisclosed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you hand them an inspection
findings.
report and they don't look at it, but you provided them with disclosure, then they really can't come back and take a second bite at the apple.
Hey,
Right.
cut it out, buddy.
So,
And just lastly, I wanted to talk about a program that we offer for basically all of the listings we're taking now in the office, all new listings, and something I offer to all my buyers, which is a 14-month home warranty. So what happens is after you make the purchase, we give you a 14-month home warranty with American Home Warranty on the house, and it covers everything. Electrical, plumbing, all of your appliances, and it just gives you a nice safeguard where you have the home inspection, you have a home warranty, and it takes you forward in that house for at least the next 14 months where you're just worry free.
Yeah, that's a very good thing to do.
Yeah.
There is one last thing I want to bring up, and inspection is over. We're wrapping up. The number one question we get asked by the buyer's agent is, can you send me the report? And if we have permission from the client in the form of a signed waiver or an email, a written direction to send you the report, we can. Other than that, we can't.
I've only ever had one time where the buyer did not want to send me the report.
Yeah, I mean, it can be as simple. I've a lot of cases where the customers will just forward it to me. So they got it, and then they just forward it to me. So I'm not really even contacting the inspector. I'm getting the forward email from the customer because he wants me to have my knowledge on it and wants me to negotiate on his behalf. So typically that's how it kind of goes down.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may get it. Well, obviously when I'm at the home inspection, sometimes the inspector will ask, is it okay for me to send it to your broker? They say yes, and then I get it that way as well. I'm on the email chain.
We have them sign a waiver.
Waiver, perfect.
Or an authorization.
Yeah.
And on that, they print their name, they print the agent's name, put the email address where to send it to, and we just tuck that in our file because you never know who the person's going to be that, I didn't give you permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love their system. I also pop up super fast as soon as you type I.
Yes.
I'm somewhere there, and then you type S, I'm at the top.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's really good. It's really good. I think we are almost,
wrapping.
Yeah, we're about at an hour, dude. We did this for a while. It's 12:30.
Well, you know I can talk forever.
Wait, hold on.
I gotta go.
Can we give you
sell some more real estate so we can do some more home inspection?
Plug your program. Plug your company, and do you want me to put your email or contact info?
You can.
I'll put your website and stuff down.
So
it'll be right
website
below.
is metrobostonpropertyinspections.com.
Bam.
Bam.
It'll show up on edits.
We don't charge extra for aid. We don't charge a travel fee. We don't charge extra for a small 2-car detached garage, even though they are outside the scope of the home inspection. If you're on a well, I strongly recommend getting water quality testing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Strongly.
I strongly
recommend.
And
that's
second and third.
$395. We are capable of performing sewer scope. I have a sewer scope to be able to do it. I've never done a sewer scope, and I don't really want to do a sewer scope. But if you need it, we can do it. But that's something we recommend you have done in the home, whether prior to purchase or after, to see what's going on from the foundation underground out to the street. Or
that would be roots in your drain line.
I think they got to do that in Medford.
Collapse.
Yeah.
What's
collapse.
that?
In Medford, because of the lead pipe, right? Like they have to do a sewer scope inspection.
No.
No?
No.
Is Medford or Malden? One of them has to.
I had
Never
one
done
house.
one.
I had one house that kept filling with backup of sewage because of that sewage line had so many roots going into the pipe that we had to put a whole new line in. It was over on Dustin Street in Brighton. From the street back to the house, they had to dig and put a new line in because it was destroyed. It was
Clay
caved
pipes.
in. Clay pipes had roots from the
Clay
trees
pipes,
going in
cast
there.
iron pipes have an anticipated life of 75 years.
Yeah.
So if you see blistering or corrosion on your interior pipes, you can just imagine what's going on in your exterior pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very true. All right. Last thing. What areas do you service?
I do Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and I've been as far north as Kittery, Maine.
All
Now,
right.
I cover that space. I try to keep my inspector Boston area south, but I've been out to Belchertown. I've been to Springfield. I've been to Orange. If somebody needs my services and wants my services, I'll go.
That's how I feel too.
I spend a lot of time getting to know agents and asking them to send me business. And if they send me business and I say no, Well, they'll send it to somebody else, and then they'll use that person.
Yeah, no.
It's worth the drive.
That's
I always
a fair
tell my
point.
agents, will you drive an hour for $10,000? No problem. They all say yes.
Yeah,
Well,
but for us, it's a shot.
There are
Yeah.
some
It's a
bonuses
shot
to
in the
traveling.
dark.
That's some
Hey,
nice coffee.
The only Golden Corral in Massachusetts is in Springfield.
I didn't know that. I haven't been to Springfield in so long.
I think they have shrimp on the
We need to
salad
do
bar.
a Six Flag trip.
Yes.
Hey, you play golf?
No, I commit golf.
We have a.
He's still trying to play golf, but
doing
we're playing
no,
soon.
we're doing a company outing for our office.
We're going to hit balls.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the range.
Yeah,
Aren't we?
driving
on the
range.
26th.
Yep.
That's a Wednesday as
Yeah.
well.
Yep.
End of the month. So
I
if
lost
you're around, let me know.
I lost a lot of my eye-hand coordination
Yeah.
for stuff like that when I had the stroke. I don't want to say I'd be a downer, but I'd be an aggravation.
It's all right. Listen,
If
haven't
you
hit
do
a
a
ball at all.
golf if you do a golf tournament, we'll sponsor a hole.
That's
good to know.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We just
We should
did one
definitely
for
chat
an
about that.
office that was doing a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one of the caveats. It does have to be
We could do one. We could do
a
one
charity.
for.
Okay.
We could do one. What we should do is do one with the Jeannie Johnson for autism at like Forest Hills or something.
Yeah.
And we could,
That would
because
be
it's right
special.
there.
My
you know.
daughter I have a daughter who's a occupational therapist.
Oh, great.
Well, she actually is director of a department in a school for
Oh, great.
a hospital for autism.
That's great. Yeah.
And
I have
that's what- then I have another special education teacher daughter.
wow.
That's a awkward way to say it.
Yeah. No, that's
And she deals a lot with
that's a good calling.
autism.
I have a 27-year-old son who's autistic. It's a good calling for sure.
Yeah. Definitely a good cause.
And
We should discuss that. In
My
detail.
oldest one deals specifically with kids with large behavioral problems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're very
She
confused. A lot of
started
them.
at the Guild School in
Yeah.
Waltham.
Yep. I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom
Good
worked
school.
at the Holmes Elementary over
Yep.
here. That's same thing. That's crazy. All of
All right.
us
See that?
are in
You,
that.
I'm sure you've noticed I always try to find a connection with the people I'm working with.
Yeah.
And I've worked with people who grew up with my sister and didn't know it. Just recently. And if you can find the connection with the person you're working with,
Yeah.
it makes the whole situation much more comfortable.
Yeah. Look at that. You're giving sales advice now. Did we cover everything?
Yeah, it looks
I think
really
we
good.
did.
We did a great job today,
Dude, this
guys.
was one of the
I want to
best
thank
ones.
Todd for
Thank you
coming
so
in
much,
today.
Todd.
Appreciate
Well, I'm
that.
always
really
welcome
so
to come and help
Yeah.
you with this if you have anything.
Yeah, we want you to come by the office. We would love to have that class
Well, you know
done
who-
for our agents.
Yeah.
You know who the boss is.
Yeah, we do.
We'll call it Type Missy.
I own the company.
Yeah.
It's
Missy
Missy.
tells me what
It's
to
Missy,
do.
dude.
Yeah. So we do first Monday of every month we have a all office meeting. So that'd be an ideal time for you to come in and then we'll
And just
grab lunch
bear in mind
afterwards or
that
something.
I don't want to come in and do basically marketing.
Yeah, no.
I want to help
We don't do
agents
that.
understand what it is we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And
I think it's
have
good.
Probably 25 different seminars that I put on.
Great.
We're getting
Yeah, we're getting
we're trying to get there. But
One-
yeah, we
one's
know
a
you're not
wrap.
trying to sell anything. You don't have to bring food. When we bring people to the office that are selling
Yeah,
us
but what am
something,
I gonna
we
eat?
require
We
them
bring.
to bring food.
Yeah.
But you're
don't have to
teaching
bring
us
food.
stuff. We'll
Yeah.
give
No,
you
no,
food.
I'll
No, we're
bring
gonna
food.
buy
We
you.
bring food
Alright.
All right.
because I need to eat something.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're all good.
We take care of that. But no. All right. Sweet. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've learned something. Stay tuned for more cool stuff. Todd, again, thank you so much. Eric, also, thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
Israel.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Happy hunting, folks. All right. That's
See you
it.
later.
Get a good house.
Oh, that's door. I'm sorry.